Hey guys, welcome to today's video. We are here for another tag. This is the where are we now tag video. I believe the creators were Erica Conger and Lisa Raven. I'm pretty sure that's correct, so I will have them listed down below. I know Angie filmed this video and Yelika Nyquist. I know Karen Harris and Makeup Molly filmed this video, so I will have all of them listed down below. And I'm not 100% sure when I'm gonna post this. I'm not sure if you're gonna see it close to when I'm filming it, or if this is gonna be one of the videos that I'm going to save for August when I have my baby. So just to preface that, still pregnant. Just not sure when you are going to see this, but we have 10 questions here, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, 10 questions. So I'll have the questions listed down below, and I'm just gonna kind of go through each of these and share my thoughts with you. If you are new, hello and welcome. My name is Kelly, and I love all things makeup and beauty. I love talking, I love makeup, I love talking about makeup. So if you like to chat about makeup too, I would love to have you subscribe and be part of the K Bella fam. But why don't we go ahead and jump into the video. So question number one is, do you still feel the same about having your channel as you did when you started? And so I was kind of thinking about these as I was watching some of my girlfriends film this video, and I feel like yes and no. Do I feel the same? So when I started my channel, I'm pretty sure I uploaded my first video in December of 2015. It was shortly after we moved into the house that we're in now. And so I was in my late 20s, although I was married, we didn't have any children yet. And my husband was coaching at the time. He was coaching football, so he was gone a lot, working late a lot, and this just kind of became my hobby. So one thing that's the same is that I do still view this channel as a hobby. This is still something that I just do for fun. It's like a creative outlet. I love makeup. I love talking about makeup. I don't feel like I'm necessarily the best at makeup. I'm not a pro, I'm not a makeup artist or anything like that, but I do have fun talking about makeup. I love talking, I love makeup, right? So that's kind of the same. But the reason why I said it's a little bit different is because back then it was just kind of like a hobby and like a time filler. And now, while it's still a hobby, I am a mom, and like I said, and I mentioned I didn't know if I was going to save this for after I have the baby. I'm on baby number 2 right now. So I have a 3-year-old, and our son is due in August. And so now this is kind of like the thing that I do for me. I feel like with my personality, it's kind of easy for me to get caught up in motherhood and being a mom and, doing stuff for my family all of the time. But I feel like it's still so important to have something that's for you. So there are definitely times where it can be challenging to film. There can be a lot going on, or I'm not really feeling up to it, but I still kind of drag myself out and do it because this is the one part of my life that I can tap into from before I was a mom, and I still enjoy it and I still love it and it's still a hobby, but it's also something that I kind of do for my me time. And for many, many years I was not monetized, and now that I am monetized, listen, I'm not making a lot of money from YouTube, okay? I think I've only gotten paid 2 or 3 times, but the exciting part of this now and why I try to be more consistent and make sure I'm uploading videos is because I like the idea that this could potentially be a way to fund my makeup addiction. So that's why I feel like it's kind of the same, kind of different. It's evolved over time. Question number 2, if you could do anything differently when you started, what would it be? I think one thing that I would have done differently in the beginning is perhaps get more involved in the community. So, like I said, I started at the end of 2015, and while I did build some relationships here and there with people on YouTube and on Instagram, it was never very... you hear about people saying they met their best friends, people that they talk to, people that they're meeting up with in person. It was never like that for me. It was always more just almost like work acquaintances. I would chat with people in DMs. I would watch people's videos, they would watch mine, but it was never anything deeper than that, I feel like. And then I had my daughter in 2019, and I stepped away from YouTube for a while. And so when I came back, that was kind of my focus, was to be more involved in the community. And I wish I did that earlier on because, you know, when I took a break from YouTube, like, there was nobody asking what was going on, nobody asking where I was. Like, there was no, you know, like, there was just no relationship. It was just kind of like I disappeared and it was okay. And so I came back and I was like, you know what? I want more of the community. I want more of the relationships. It's so nice to have people to bounce ideas off of. It's so nice to have people to help you if you have questions, like with thumbnails or like YouTube stuff. You know, it's so helpful having that community that I wish I had done that earlier on. So I would say that would be something that if I could do differently, I would. Question number 3, how has your filming schedule changed since you started, or has it stayed the same? Now, I heard several people say that theirs changed, especially if they've been on YouTube for a while. And mine has pretty much stayed the same because if you're new here, I'm a full-time teacher. That's what I do career-wise. I'm an elementary school teacher, and I was in my late 20s when I started. I am now. And so when I started my channel, I was still really only filming and editing on the weekends. I would do a ton of filming on Saturday. I would spend several hours filming, and I would do all of my editing on Sunday. And so now, being a teacher, having a family, being a mom, I still try to film all of my content on Saturdays, and I try to edit all of my videos on Sundays. Sometimes the editing doesn't happen. Usually the filming I can squeeze in there. I film while my daughter is napping. And so now I have like a certain time that I film, whereas before I could just kind of film whenever. So I still film and edit and do all of my YouTube stuff on the weekend. That's the same. It's just more like narrowed down to a certain time. But yeah, I mean, all these years later, still doing the same thing. Number 4, what surprised you the most about having a channel? I think if I think back to the early days, I think one of the things that surprised me the most is that the editing and uploading onto YouTube and the description box takes forever. Like, that's the majority of your time. The actual filming that you're seeing right now, like what you see, that's not what takes the longest. Okay, like I do my makeup, I sit down, I can film probably 3 videos in under an hour, depending on how much I'm talking. That's not what takes long, but then you have to edit the video, which depending on how much you're kind of inserting and text and pictures and whatnot, that can take a long time. The uploading, filling out the description box, especially if you're someone who uses links, like that is the time consuming part. And I guess before I started YouTube, I didn't really think about that. You just like see people filming and you're like, oh yeah, like no big deal, you know, like I could do that. But it's all of the tech stuff and the behind the scenes stuff that I think surprised me just how much time it takes. Number 5, what do you like the most and least about having a channel? So one thing I like the most about having a channel definitely now is the community. The friendships that I've made. I have friends that I chat with on Polo. Sadly, I've been very bad lately at keeping up with them, but they are the greatest. You know, I've met friends in the community. I got to meet Molly in person. I would love to meet some of my other girlfriends in person at some point in time, but that's the part that I think is my favorite, is just having friends with a common interest. And you know, before when like there were beauty YouTube get-togethers like Gen Beauty and like Ipsy and all that stuff, IMATs, I never went. I was in my late 20s, I was young, you know, like I could travel, I didn't have kids, but I never went because I was like, if I go, like I don't have anybody to meet there or to talk to. Like I would have had Smags come with me and we would have kind of just kept to ourselves and done our own thing. Whereas now I feel like if there were to be an IMATS or a Gen Beauty or an Ipsy event or something where we could get together, there would be people that I would fly to meet. There would be people that I could stay with, you know, girlfriends that I could hang out with. And I think that's my favorite part. My least favorite part, I would have to say, would be uploading everything onto YouTube. I feel like some people say comments and negativity and stuff like that, but I really don't like the description box. I don't like trying to put everything on there. It's just very tedious and very time consuming. I'm much more into the talking, the interaction, the makeup part, not so much the tech part. So I would have to say that would be my least favorite thing. Number 6, are you able to come up with video ideas easily, or is that a challenging aspect? For me, it fluctuates. I have peaks and valleys. There are some times where my phone is flooded with ideas of videos I want to film, things I want to put out there, and I just don't have enough time in the day. And then I have the valleys where I'm like scrolling YouTube trying to find ideas of things I want to film. I'm not really coming up with anything original, not really able to think of anything, and then I might have like a dry spell on YouTube. So it just kind of comes and goes. It comes in waves. I feel like I try not to be a heavy review channel, especially since I don't really earn an income from my YouTube. I don't really have the money to be going out and purchasing all of the new releases and getting the reviews. So I feel like those are kind of like easier videos to film. Is to film reviews. Like you go out, you buy a new makeup product, you use it, and you talk about it, right? But since I'm not a review channel and I'm more of a talking type of channel, I have to find tag videos or come up with ways to talk about the products that I already have in my collection that I feel like other people will find interesting as well. So it can be challenging, but like I said, there are also times where I'm flooded with ideas and I don't have time to film it all. So it totally just depends. Number 7, how do you think you've grown as a creator during your time on YouTube? Well, let's see. I started in my late 20s. I'm now in my mid 30s. I was not a mom. Now I'm about to have 2 children. I feel like I've changed as a person. I mean, I'm still the same person in a sense where I'm still super social. I still love talking to people. I still love talking. I still love makeup. I still love all of those things. But now I feel like I'm just a little bit more mature than I was. I kind of have priorities. I feel like I take YouTube a little bit more serious. Back when I first started, it was not something that I ever expected to kind of get a revenue from or to get money from. It was just like a for fun, a for hobby type of thing. And so I didn't really take it that serious. Whereas now I do put forth more effort. Like when I'm filming videos, I try to think of videos that people would want to watch, and I take the time to really film them. I take the time to edit and upload them. So I feel like I'm more serious about it that way. And part of it, I think, has to do with being monetized and the idea that I could earn an income from a hobby. This is not something that I ever foresee myself doing full-time, but to kind of have this hobby where it could bring in revenue enough to support my makeup purchases, like that's really exciting. So I feel like I'm taking it more serious now as well. But I feel like whereas before, I just kind of had like all of the time in the world. So I would spend hours doing my makeup on Saturday. I would spend hours editing on Sunday. And now I just don't have the hours, Like I mentioned, my daughter's sleeping right now. She's 3 years old. She takes anywhere from a 2 to 3 hour nap. So I normally start my makeup before she goes down. Then I do my filming so that when she's awake, I can spend time with her because I work during the week. So I feel like I've given myself guidelines more, and even the editing on Sunday, I'll edit when she's sleeping, whether it's napping or after she has gone to bed. So I kind of prioritize family time, and I still find time to like fit in my hobby and do it that way. Whereas before I had like all of the time in the world. So I feel like I'm a little bit more serious, a little bit more disciplined, but still, I mean, parts of me are the same. I still just love makeup and love talking. So hopefully that answered the question of how I've grown as a creator. Number 8, so far, what is the video that you've created that you love the most or are most proud of? And which one do you like the least? I had to think about this one for a little bit. And I think the videos that I would be most proud of are a couple of vlogs that I did while my husband and I were in Italy. Now these vlogs are several years old. I will try to go back and link them down below in case you're interested in them. But the reason why I feel most proud of them is because those are memories that I'll be able to go back and watch and like relive my time there in Italy. So it really has nothing to do with makeup or YouTube. It's more so that I have a memory in a place where I can like go back and relive it. And that's what I'm most proud of. And I mean, my husband helped me with that vlog, and I spent so much time, like picking out outfits and doing these videos, while we were abroad and putting it together. So yeah, I'm very proud of that one. Thinking of the ones that I am least proud of, I didn't really have anything that I would say I'm like the least proud of. I mean, there are definitely videos, if you go back to the beginning, where you can tell I'm like sitting on the floor, my niece is holding my camera and I'm just like talking a mile a minute. There are definitely some that are a little bit cringier, but at the time, I mean, it was genuine, you know, like I was doing my best. I was putting forth, you know, effort to create these videos. It just, you know, I've learned more about editing. I've learned more about filming. I've upgraded some things, and I've learned more about thumbnails. So there's just cringier type of videos, but there's not anything where I'm like, oh, I need to go delete that because it was horrible. There have been videos that I haven't uploaded because I felt that way, but not ones that I actually have on my channel. Number 9, do you think about long-term goals for your channel, or do you focus on the here and now? So kind of both. I do have some long-term goals. Like I mentioned, you know, I'm not trying to blow up and be viral. Okay, that's not something I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make this a career. It's still just a hobby for me. But one of my long-term goals would be to grow enough to be able to have this channel and YouTube and AdSense earn me enough money to where I was getting paid monthly and could then use that to invest back into my channel, to make more makeup purchases and have it like fund my makeup habit. That's like a goal of mine. So there's no like set number. It's just I would love to have YouTube generate enough income to where it could be a hobby and I could use this to purchase makeup. So that's like my long-term goal. But I would say I focus more so on the here and now. There have been a lot of times, like I said, I don't know when I'm uploading this, but there have been a lot of times, we'll just say this summer, where I've kind of been uploading a lot and then disappeared a little bit, and uploaded a lot and disappeared a little bit. And that's just because at the end of the day, YouTube does sometimes have to take a back seat, you know, like being pregnant, being tired, having the end of the year working, teaching summer school. My dog is currently sick. Whenever this video goes up, he will probably have passed by then. He has mouth cancer. So kind of going through that and just kind of learning to give myself grace. You know, when I started my channel, I always told myself, I don't want to force myself to film. If I'm not into it, I'm not going to be into it. And whereas now I feel like I'm a little bit more disciplined. Sometimes I'm not always feeling it, but I do know that I want to have videos up, so I kind of make myself film anyway. But focusing on the here and now and is more what I do on a day-to-day. Like, can I film today? What kind of videos can I film? What can I put up there? That's more so where my head is at. But like, I do have long-term goals too. Number 10, if you could sit down with your former pre-YouTube self, what advice would you give yourself in regards to having a YouTube channel? Okay, so there are a couple things, a couple words of wisdom, things that I would give pre-YouTube Kelly. One is the advice that I just mentioned. I would say that to myself and say to stick with it. You know, like, film on days when you feel like filming, give yourself grace on days where you don't feel like filming. You know, like, I feel like that kind of would come across on camera if you were maybe forcefully having yourself film instead of being like a genuine, I want to film this video. I feel like that would come across on camera. So definitely, like, you know, film when you're feeling it, but give yourself grace when you're not feeling it also. I do feel like another piece of advice I would give myself is don't feel like you have to have the best of the best things to film, like the best camera, the best computer, the best lighting. I filmed in natural light for many, many, many years. I did start on a camera and then went to my iPhone. My husband did buy me an iMac computer that I could edit on, but I definitely in the beginning felt the pressure. I felt like I needed to go out and get a camera. I felt like I needed to go out and get artificial lighting. I felt like I needed to have, you know, a Mac computer so that I could use iMovie. And so I feel like I would just tell myself, you know, start basic, start with what you already have, and don't feel the need to go out and spend money until you're actually making a profit from your channel, you know, if that makes sense. I do have a ring light now, but I still don't have the best of the best. My husband got me this camera, the Canon T6i, T6S, Rebel in 2018, and it was refurbished from a pawn shop, and it's still, I feel like, working great. And then I have my ring light just because I now cannot film in front of a window. My daughter's room is what I used to film in. But don't feel the pressure to have the best of the best. And I still have to tell myself that sometimes. A lot of people have really cool background lighting, and I've thought about purchasing background lighting. But like I said, I've only gotten 2 or 3 checks from YouTube. So it's like, that's something where I feel like have maybe more stable money coming in or revenue coming in from YouTube before I invest in something like that. So that's another piece of advice I would give myself. And I would tell myself to put myself out more in the community earlier, like I did the second time around when I came back in 2020, and make friends earlier, put yourself out there, become part of the community, and really dive in that way. That was something where I never did it my first time on YouTube. It was once I had my daughter and she was 14 months old, and COVID happened and I was ready to get back into filming. Part of why I came back is because I wanted to find Kelly, the makeup lover, before I was a mom, but also because I wanted to be involved in the community, and I wish that I had done that sooner. So those are probably 3 pieces of advice. Oh, and don't compare yourself. I know everybody says this, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare yourself to other people, but it's hard. I mean, we're human. It's hard. There are people who started around the same time as me who have blown up, and there are people who started around the same time as me who aren't here anymore. Like, you can't compare yourself to someone else, and I feel like sometimes that can be easy to do, just to say like, well, why am I not good enough? What am I not doing well enough? But I feel like, just take this for what it is. If you're honestly just going into this like I am, as a hobby to have fun, take it for what it is. I told myself early on, I don't care if I have 1 subscriber, I don't care if I have 100,000, I don't care if I have 10 subscribers. Like, I'm doing this because I want to talk about makeup and it's fun for me. And I feel like that's the attitude that I would want myself to still have. But after that, those are all 10 questions for the Where Are We Now tag. This was super fun to film. If you have a YouTube channel and you haven't filmed this already, I highly recommend it. I feel like it was so fun just to kind of analyze my growth over these last few years on YouTube. But if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed before you go. That way I can see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.